Fourth time's a charm. You guys, Instagram is not working with me tonight. It is not happy. We're going to see if I can get the cat vet on here. I feel bad because we are starting so late. We had some issues, and we're going to see if we can get her to be able to join me here shortly. It was not letting her request to join the live earlier. So it has just been a night with us trying to get on here together. I'm trying to see if it'll let me do it through here, and it's not. Marissa, make a comment so I can pick just you and see if I can get you back on here. So, we're supposed to be talking about being a cattle veterinarian. Yeah, it still won't let me add you either. Maybe it's because your account is so big and awesome, and so it won't let you get on my little account and let us chat. So, you guys, we're gonna have to give up tonight. This is my fourth time trying, and Instagram is not a fan. I apologize. We will reschedule. It's not a big deal. This is the life, right? You got to be flexible in life. It says, can you try the camera on the bottom? I tried that, Maddie, and it won't. It's telling me I can go live in a room, but it's not telling me. Oh, so Marissa, it says you need to upgrade your app for me to let you do it. So I'm assuming your Instagram is not like the current upgrade, maybe. I don't really know. But we're not going to worry about it because it is stressful unless you can try to get off, upgrade really quick, and then get back on. But that's what it's telling me, is that she can't join because of her app not being upgraded. It is my birthday. Can you guys guess how old I am? Let's just throw that out there. How old do you think I turned today? It's a big one, and I'm wearing black. And I'm wearing black for a reason. And it's okay. You can hurt my feelings if your guesses are like wildly inappropriate. I'm already having a complex over my birthday, so. Gabby, thanks for understanding. I was going to give her a minute to see if she could upgrade her. Caitlin, 21. Oh, man. That's probably how I feel inside. It's definitely not how old I am, though. Appreciate that. Gabby, 35. No, not there yet. You guys are trying, but that Mama Mo, what's up, girl? I'm glad you're on here. Oh, yay, fun. Uruguay? Nope, 30 still too young. 29 is way too young. 42, little too late, little too old. Oh, let's see if we can get, it's still not letting, What work? Give us a second. Let's see if it works. She sent me the request. I said yes. Let's see if it works.
Oh my gosh. What a fiasco.
You would think we've like never used Instagram before, ever.
Apparently I just had to upgrade. Like the minute you said it, I was like out of Instagram, like watching the bar go like, come on.
I was like, I'm like pushing the button, request. So anyways, we are here. We're good.
So sorry, guys.
You are fine. You're fine. Yay. Okay. So we are coming on an hour late because we just had a little issue, but it's fine. We're good. We're ready to talk. We're ready to chat. So
success. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. So I'm in Texas. We've never met, but I feel like we're like kindred spirits, and you probably have a lot of people say that, but we have a lot in common because we have the background of both showing horses and showing Arabians, which is really, really fun, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I can't remember when we first like figured that out, where we were like, we both showed Arabian horses growing up, and now we're veterinarians, and one of these days we're going to meet about a show.
Yes, I think Scottsdale is the place to go because that's like the social show to be at. So it's really fun. So I got a ton of questions. I had a lot of people send me stuff. And I don't know if you've had a chance to watch any of these, but basically we just kind of walk through your career journey a little bit. And I ask you, about it. And I had a lot of really great questions that I think are going to maybe be a little controversial, generate some good conversation. So I'm excited. I know that you don't shy away from controversy.
No.
So
I'm here for it.
I was like, she'll be fine. She'll be like, bring it. Okay, so first off, congrats on the pregnancy.
Thank
Just
you.
in case anyone didn't know. Do you have a little boy?
Yep, I have a son, McCoy, who will be 3 in June, and I'm due in June again. So
I have June babies.
yeah, I like it. I like summer babies. I'm like good with it. So
I do too. And it's fun when they have the same month because then you do birthdays together for a while and you don't have to do two separate parties and you're like, this is easy. And then they
yeah.
get too old and they're like, I don't want my little brother at my party. And then you have to change
That's
it
what
up. But
we're hoping for. We figured out like we have this like time in September. Apparently, that's like our breeding date, and that's when magic happens. So.
ours is concerts. Like there's been some specific concerts that were like, that was it. Like we should name our kid Garth Brooks, but that's okay. Okay, so let's talk about you pre-vet school, okay? And tell me a little bit about you wanted to be a veterinarian. What was your journey to get into vet school? Easy peasy, where'd you go? Talk me through that.
Yeah, so Marissa growing up showed horses, and so I was like, I'm gonna go be an equine lameness veterinarian because that's what I had exposure to. And I thought that'd be really cool. And then that was my plan until I got into Michigan State. And even then I was like, I don't know, I just need an undergrad degree, right? So I picked animal science because for me that was like, duh, like animal science. I want to be a veterinarian. What could make more sense, And then I really started diving into actual animal science classes and the food animal part of it. And I was like, oh, no. Like, I like this a lot. Like, this is where I want to be. And so that's really what spurred my passion for it. And where I got most of my experience was in undergrad. And so I answered that question. Yeah. And that's how I kind of got into food animal medicine before vet school.
So you weren't, because I think a lot of people that think about going into like cattle side of things or large animal, they feel like they have to be like born into it basically, and they have to be raised with it. And you were around horses, but I think it's nice for people to hear that you weren't like growing up around cattle, constantly and like as part of a farm.
No.
And obviously you met a farmer and now you are part of a farm situation, but you just really were interested in it. So when you were looking at vet school, you were thinking cattle was the way that you were going to go?
Yeah. So after in undergrad, I kind of changed my direction, and I grew up in kind of dairy country in Michigan. Kind of, I was always like, I had the friends that had the dairy farms kind of thing, but right. I grew up on a retired dairy farm. And so I don't really think if you want to go into food animal agriculture, as long as you have an appreciation for it and you kind of have that work ethic and you understand some of that, that's all you really, really need to understand. Right. And some of the best veterinarians that I know come in kind of with a different lens because they didn't grow up in it. And I think that's a really unique lens to bring into food and animal medicine, and it's needed.
Yeah. And that's encouraging for people to hear, I think. And you do have to learn like the lingo a little bit. And like with people that want to go into horses and weren't around horses, I'm like, you got to learn basic handling. You got to be able to, show people, what you're talking about. But you can learn a lot of that. So did you get into vet school your first time applying, or what was that process?
Yeah, I did. Luckily, I was a late February ad, but I did get in that year.
Yeah.
So but I did kick it back and forth. Honestly, I was just engaged at the time, and Trav and I really thought about it financially. I didn't have any help in undergrad. I didn't have any help for vet school. And, so I already had undergrad debt, and it was like, can I financially take this on, and so we really kicked that around for a while. And I ultimately made the decision to go, but it wasn't an easy one to make at all, for sure. So
it's good to take that into consideration. And so with my husband, I had the discussion of like, this is what I want to do. It's going to be really hard work and it's going to be a lot of hours, and I'm kind of a workaholic, and like, you need to be on board. And he said to me, I don't think you realize how uncommon it is for people to love what they do for a living. And so the fact that you love what you do and go to work to do every day is really important. And of course I'll support that, which I was already like obsessed with him, but that made me like a little more obsessed with him. But I think that is, you know, a good thing to realize that if you're really passionate about it, then it really does make it all worth it. But you do have to consider the financial aspect and what the payoff will be, you know, in the long run with all that. So, okay, so you get into school, and do you guys have tracks, like large animal, equine, small animal? How's it structured there?
Michigan State does not have tracks. We do 3.5 years of classroom, and then we do a year and a half of clinics, but there's no tracks. It might have
Okay.
changed, but there was none when I was there. When I graduated, in 2015.
So you had to learn a little bit of everything, but did you have like electives or
Yeah.
externships, or where did you kind of start to, I guess, because there's dairy cattle, there's beef cattle, there's, you know, cow, calf operation, veal. I don't even know all of
Yes.
it. I'll be real honest.
So I kept my path really broad. So I
Okay.
knew that I had married a farmer, like an idiot, right? And I knew exactly where I had to go live afterwards, right? It wasn't like, oh, my path is open because I can go practice anywhere. It was, I better figure out something that I can fit in where I live in Eden, Ohio. And you know what? Honestly, I liked food animal medicine. I loved dairy because I came from a very dairy-rich state, right? But I was interested in beef cattle and hogs, and I wasn't opposed to like poultry. You know, I'd get experience anywhere I wanted. So, you know, I did an externship in Tulare, California. So I went out there to kind of the big dairy-rich area. I kept equine in my back pocket, like just in case.
Yeah.
I did an externship out in California, Southern California, at the HITS. Do you know what I'm talking about? In Thermal, California. It's like really Southern California. They have a big hunter jumper show out there.
Yes, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called. I do know where you're talking about because I did my
Yeah.
internship in California. So,
Yeah. So I did it out there, and then I did a lot of dairy back here, a lot of food animal focus. So that's really, you know, and I did a swine externship too because I thought maybe that's where I wanted to go. But if you go to Michigan State and then you try to compete against like Minnesota kids or Iowa State kids for jobs, like it's a little tough.
It is hard. Okay.
So,
No, that's good to know. And a lot of I had a couple people ask me if you need to do like an internship. Like I did an equine internship before I like went into like general practice. So are there like cattle internships or like something that's right out of vet school that's kind of like a really mentored, you know, high volume situation?
Yeah. Michigan State has one.
Okay.
They team up with the dairy farm in Michigan, so they have one. And I know there are a couple other like food animal internships that you can do afterwards. For me, I think if you can, they're both great, right? But I think if you can get out there into a really nice, busy practice, you can get probably just as much experience as you can. But if you say you do want to go into a residency afterwards, or you want to go in and specialize, then an internship might be great for you. So they both work.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I tell people you only do internships for two reasons. You're going to specialize and you have to, or you don't have like a place where you're going to be mentored that you're going to go work at. So you need that like hardcore, learn a lot under somebody before you go work at that place. And that was my situation. But other than that, there's no reason to get paid like $20,000, $30,000 a year and be work like
I'm like,
crazy.
you make a little bit more money in practice.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, I got bills. I got to go.
Yeah, it's not happening. I'm ready to work. Okay, so you're getting close to graduation. Did you feel like did you start networking to find jobs, or you knew so specifically your location you were going to, so you just kind of put out feelers there? How did the first job come about?
Yeah, so that's kind of funny. So I always kind of tell this because there's a dairy by my house, and I did an internship there, and we thought it was all going to work out, right? It was so ideal. It was so close, and it was exactly what I wanted to do because I really wanted to be a staff veterinarian, which I really liked being able to work for kind of one big farm and have lots of follow-up and have lots of training, and just I like that type of medicine. And, you know, it kind of fell through, I think, in February before graduation. And I remember just being devastated, right? Just nothing was going to work out. It was my dream job and I lost it, you know? And, and then I got a call, probably a month and a half before graduation to interview for a veal farm. And I was like, I don't know anything about veal, and I don't know how I feel about it. And
Yeah.
you know, so I went and interviewed, and I was like, oh, this is just young stock medicine, right? It's not anything
Yeah.
crazy. And the company was really aligned with like, hey, we've made these changes. This is where we see ourselves going in the future. We really want to, you know, make all these changes, and you know, that's why we're ready to step up and hire a veterinarian. And it just aligned a lot with, you know, what I believe in. And you know, I'll be honest, like I love the young stock side of the business. I hated preg checking cows. Like I hated it. I wasn't good at it, you know, and I was like, I don't know if that's where I wanted to be anyway. That's why when I did an externship in California, I was like, I don't want to preg check cows all day long. Like that's not my jam. But so it aligned, and that's where I took my first position coming out of vet school, and it has opened up doors for me. It's kind of, you know, really where I started my career and how I got started on social media. And I just can't imagine the other job now, the one that I really thought was my dream job. It wasn't, right? God had a different plan for me, and it's all worked out.
I think that that's an important note, though, that I always tell vet students is like, there's so many different opportunities out there. And I think keeping an open mind and like walking through open doors, like when things are presented to you, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like you can change, right? But like, it is nice to consider things and try things out that you wouldn't normally do just because you thought it had to go this way. Your career is never going to go exactly like you planned. So you got to be open to making a change. So, and you were very like, let's just put this out there. You were very big on animal welfare and like making sure that things are done the right way. Like you love your animals and it's adorable and I appreciate it. And I could tell even when you did the veal job, you were huge on education and just making sure that, you know, things were done the right way. And I think that that is what that industry needs. And the fact that you can employ that still and be in that industry, I think is really, really wonderful. So that's one of the things I really enjoy about your account in general, like all your personalities of all your all your cows. Okay, so how long were you in that job and what were like the pluses and minuses of it in general?
Yeah, I was in that job for my first 5 years of practice. So I started a new job in January 2020. And you know, I had some mentorship my first year and a half. Kind of, it was a unique position. So I worked for the company, but then I also mentored under kind of a veterinarian in town who'd done a lot of their work, and he was looking to retire and stuff. And so I got some good mentorship. But I did a lot of stuff independently right out of vet school, you know, and kind of learned on the job and learned in front of guys that are, you know, been raising calves longer than I've been alive. And, you know, and so that was a struggle. And I talk about this a lot when I talk or give, you know, speak and stuff like that. But my biggest learning curve was honestly communication, was how to communicate with people effectively. And in a setting where, like I said, I was working with almost all men that were, you know, 40, 50 years old, 60 years old, and how to translate some of our, you know, your medical terminology and things you've learned in kind of modern medicine and translate that into sometimes kind of an older generation of raising animals. And so that was a big learning curve for me, and how to not come off as a young, you know, this is the way it has to be kind of veterinarian. And then, but then also be able to learn from those people that have had so much experience in their lives. And so that, you know, that took me a while to figure that out.
And that, okay, so that actually brings up two of the questions that I had. One, a lot of people wanted to know how they find mentors in kind of the large animal side of things. Is there, I mean, do you like email people and be like, hey, or do you just network and get out there? Like, what can you do really in vet school and beyond to kind of find the answers that you're looking for and find that leadership that you're looking for?
You know what? I'm not good at that. I'll be honest. I'm not good
okay. You know your social media account is all about networking and connecting with people. So you were actually very, very good at that. But
yeah, you know what? I'm not good at asking for help. And that's that's where I struggle. And to have, you know, like that really good mentorship. yeah, I wasn't good at, I'm like, I'll figure it out. Like, I don't want to bother you, you know, like
Right.
I've always been kind of that person. And so I'm really not great at having like good mentors, but I have developed them, by networking, you know, by showing up at meetings and by actually reaching out and saying, hey, I need help.
Right.
And this is my conundrum. Right. And it took me a while to get there. And I don't know if it's a bit of personality where like, I'll just figure it out. I don't want to bother you. It's also probably a little bit of pride. Like, I can do this. Right. Like,
Right.
So both. So I do encourage people to like either set down their pride or, you know, set aside their shyness or whatever is holding you back and reach out to those people if you know, want them to be your mentors or you want, you know, their input on stuff, because most people will give it to you, right? Most people just are especially veterinarians. We're usually here to serve. So
Yeah.
yeah, ask for the help if you need it.
Yeah, I think that really when you get into it, the communities are pretty small. You know, like the bovine community is small, the equine community is small. Like I really think the more you kind of meet people, the more, even if the person you meet and connect with is not the best mentor for you, there'll be somebody that they know or somebody you can reach out to. So it's really all connected. And putting yourself out there and just saying like, I'm interested in this, I think that opens a lot of doors, but you do have to kind of do that initial putting yourself out there, you know. The other thing that you brought up was working with a lot of older men, and that was probably far and away the questions I got, was, you know, did you deal with kind of people talking down to you? How did you deal with maybe like sexism or misogyny or, you know, any of those things? I could see you being like, I'm going to show you kind of personality.
Yeah.
But did you ever like call anybody out, or did you ever have like any, you know, really inappropriate encounters? Like what, or, I mean, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But
No. It's like common. It's the most common question, right? And I've learned this week after posting about being a woman in agriculture, but there's apparently no right way to talk about it, because you're either making a problem or you're minimizing a problem. And I'm just like, all right, whatever, you know, at this point.
Yeah.
But, you know, from what I've learned, honestly, is I try to do my job to the best of my ability and ignore those things that happen to me and just not keep grinding, but just keep doing my job well and not let that get to me. And, you know, keep bringing that person more information or keep showing up for them, just to break down those kind of stereotypes. Like, oh, I can be as mean to her as she wants if she keeps showing up and keeps doing this job that, you know, that I said she couldn't do. So that's kind of how I take it. And if it's blatant, I usually call it out. And the other way that I kind of combat it too is just trying to support other women in roles. So whether it was with my company or you know, having other female vet students come ride with me, to show them that, hey, this is how I navigate through some of this stuff. She's perfectly capable of feeding calves. She does a great job, you know. So trying to build up those other women that are around me is kind of how I try to combat it the best I can.
Yeah, and I think that the showing does more for people, honestly, than like calling people out on stuff a majority of the time. I only had like a few inappropriate comments where I kind of had to be like, yeah, you don't talk about like my butt that way, please. Like when I have to jump, like I'm little, I used to have to stand on the side of the truck to like get in my vet box, you know? So I had a couple like comments, you know, about the way I look from behind and stuff like that, but nothing that was like, you know, I couldn't handle. But I do think the more you just kind of get in there and do the job, then the more you kind of, I don't know, validate what you know and who you are. But don't you think you have to have, well, you have to have like maybe a thicker skin in large animal? Or do you think, like, I don't care that much what people think about me, so,
you know,
that helps me?
Yeah. Agriculture is kind of funny, right? Because we are kind of tough people, and probably same thing with equine, right? Like you don't get a lot of that small animal, like touchy-feely, which is great because I'm not that type of person, which is why I would not do well in small animal, because I'm pretty blunt. We're like, hey, euthanasia. Like, I think that's going to be a good idea. You know,
Yeah.
that's not where I thrive at.
Right.
there is some tough skin with it, but again, that doesn't mean that you need to be okay with taking sexual comments or things like that, right? There's lines to cross where it's like, no, there's a point in being tough, and there's a point where it's like you're kind of being harassment. So
Yeah.
I kind of draw the line with that. And I had a funny one this week. Is I got a kind of something from a company for free, right? And the guy said, well, I wish I was a cute blonde so I could get free stuff. And I said, oh, I think you misspelled intelligent doctor, because I think that's what you meant, right? It's like, so it's just like stuff like that. It's just like, as long as you can kind of throw it back to people, that's usually where I at least feel better at the end of the day.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you're pretty witty. So I could see you like being able to come up with some, it's like a day later and I'm like, I should have said this,
Yeah.
Like,
I have those too. And I'm like, oh, been genius.
Yeah. I'm going to save that one for next time. Okay. So you're in the veal world, veal operation, and then you transferred over to your current job, or you took a little break. What happened there?
Yeah, no, I just kind of, I don't know. Where you kind of feel like you outgrow something a little bit. And that's kind of where I was at in my career. Like, I feel really good about this. I feel where we're at, but I just don't know what the next step is for me, kind of thing. And so that's where I just kind of was looking for a little bit of a new position, but I wasn't ready to leave, kind of practice. And then I had the opportunity to interview with Fairlife, which is a milk brand company, for their director of animal welfare and sustainable farming, I guess is the full title. And so I interviewed for that in January kind of 2020. And that's when I changed jobs. And so it's been a good move. I didn't know I was going to leave practice that early in my career, but it was a really good fit for me and my family.
So you're more in a kind of like admin role now, or like a management role, or what would you like? Do you still deal with, I know you deal with your own herd, but do you still deal with, the animals at your job?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I kind of have my boots on the ground in two different places. So I work directly with our supplying dairies. So I go out on their farms and work through kind of our welfare program and our sustainability program and things like that with all of those guys. And then I kind of have my boots on the ground with our brand. And so with our communications team and our sustainability team, and most days I feel like a translator. So I'm pretty good at farm translation up the line, and then kind of translating, fancy brand talk down to our farmers, like, hey, this is why it's important. This is what our consumers are saying. These are, and so that's kind of my role, is to be the intimate, that conduit between the two, which is fun, which I still get to go out on farms and work with farmers, which is what I love doing. But then I also get to kind of use some of my communication skills on the other side.
I would say you have really great communication skills. Everything you post, like, I'm always learning something, but I'm also like, oh, but I have those experiences too as a vet. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's kind of like, it's nice to see the humanity, I guess, behind like the profession in general. Do you see yourself doing like hands-on stuff again in the future, or are you just like leaving that door open, or are you kind of thinking you will stay out of, like hands-on practice for a while, or are you not really sure?
I don't know. I don't know. I have enough, like, I get just enough of my own cattle to like fill that need for me right now.
Yeah.
But I've thought about it. Like, I would love to have like a learning center here or something like that. Like, I have some like really big picture dreams. So someday, maybe. But right now, I'm honestly just trying to figure out how to work for kind of a brand at this point. It's such a learning curve, honestly, of like going to corporate America. We're still a small company. We're still a startup right now. We're wholly owned by Coca-Cola. So we have like some of that integration, and it's just like, can I just go talk cows for a little while?
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, there's a lot of emails and meetings and Zooms and things. And that is a whole nother world. Do you think that having, like, how long were you and Trav married before you had kids?
We were married in 12 and we had McCoy in 18. So we were married, what, 6 years? No, 5 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 years. Yeah.
We were married 7 before kids, and we definitely were like workers. You know what I mean? Like just go, 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 go. And then having kids, and I think you have a big support system where you live too, which is great. But having kids definitely made me like have to reassess, like having it all, doing it all, that whole thing.
Yes.
What is your thought on like the women can have it all, you can do it all, sort of
Yeah.
thing? Because I say no.
No, you cannot. Yeah, no, I'm in that boat. I'm in, um, one, don't believe everything you see on social media. I have that people are like, your family looks so great and everything looks like it's, and I'm like, of course it does. It's social media. Like I'm going to share like a terrible day with you guys, which a lot of times do anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah. And I always use this acronym that there's like, you're always juggling, right? But then sometimes you drop some balls, and that's just how it is. You prioritize which balls you keep in the air and which balls hit the floor. And sometimes that's family, sometimes that's career, sometimes that's personal hygiene. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, and the whatever ones you have to keep in the air is what you're doing at that time. And I think that we all kind of learn that balance. And I think as you get older, or at least more mature in your career, you realize which ones you won't drop, right? And so that might be your family or your marriage or something like that, because you realize I can't continue to do that and still keep everything going.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, again, I agree. There's no balance. It's just sometimes there's seasons. That's usually what happens with my life.
And that's the thing, there's like life stages. And so at different stages, like I always feel like my husband worked really hard when I was in vet school and like the first part of my career when I made like zero money, right? And then it's like as my career grew, he got to kind of do more what he wants to do, and he has more flexibility with his time, so he does a lot of stuff with the kids, which is great. And we've kind of had that like give and take, I think, throughout our marriage, which has been really great. But kids definitely, like, I thought I could continue to do it all, and I physically like wore myself down,
Yeah.
like. And so students, they always say like, how do you do so much? How do you? And I'm like, I don't do it alone. Like I have family, I have a great husband and support system. Like none of this I do alone. But I also have people who know that these things excite me and fill me up. And I feel like I'm a better veterinarian and mom and wife because I get to do some of these things too. So
You can't pour from an empty cup, right? I truly believe that. Like if I'm wore out and wore thin and didn't take care of myself, I will be a crappy mom. I will be a even crappier wife usually, and an even crappier friend usually. So I totally agree. You got to learn how to balance that so you can be a good person.
yeah. And it's nice, I think, for students to hear that you don't have to work 80 hours a week to be like a successful veterinarian. Like there are other ways and other things, and we can do so much with our degree and with our knowledge. And I think social media has opened up maybe even more opportunities in general, that you can kind of go into as a veterinarian. So let's talk a little bit about, because that is, I feel like that's a big part of your career too. Mm-hmm. Why did you get on social media? When did you get on social media? And you I give a social media talk and I'm like, decide if you want to be controversial or not. You kind of put it out there.
I know choice to be controversial. Yeah, because the reason I got started on social media was because of veal. So we do veal promotion through Beef Checkoff, and we'd have bloggers and stuff come, and most of those would be like chefs or mom bloggers or farm bloggers or something like that. And then they would go out into their platforms and share what they learned, and there's inevitably a ton of questions, right? And so it was like, I really don't want to answer these off my personal account, and so I made Cow Vet. And it was actually originally on Instagram. I was at Veal Vet.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's how I started, and then got baptized by fire of how to be controversial on Instagram and Facebook, because there was no way around it at that point. So yeah, that's how I got started.
Yeah. I admire the fact that you continue to like put your truth out there and like really stand up for a lot of people who I think don't have the ability or have the words to like express the things that you express. Like you kind of are at the front of it. Does that make sense? Like speaking for a group of people that are working really hard and really believe in like what they're doing.
Yeah.
But you've had some really horrible experiences with things people have said, like about you and your family and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's so tough. So, one, I don't take it lightly that I represent, and I represented an industry, that I represent veterinarians, that I represent cattle veterinary. Like, I don't take that lightly, and sometimes that really feels like a burden. Like, who am I to be a voice for female cow veterinarians, right? Like, I, I just have that, like, that nagging feeling in the back of my head, kind of that imposter syndrome. Like, no one wants me to be speaking
yes,
on behalf of them. And I, like I said, I don't take that lightly when I post things. I try to represent us all, or my profession well. And so yeah, on that aspect. And then as far as in agriculture too, is, I'm married to this industry. I love what we do. I farm with my husband, and I always kind of go back to, like, why am I this way? Like, why do I feel so passionate about sharing what I do and defending what we do? And I think it's a personality thing. I think it was because I was a cheerleader in high school. That's just who I am as a person, right? Like,
yeah,
that's my go-to, is to stand up and fight and things like that. And so, again, social media isn't for everybody, because it can be a little bit of a battleground. But for those people that do feel passionate about things, I think it's a great platform to share your everyday, and to share what you defend and you're passionate about.
well, I am a veterinarian and I am very proud of what you put out there and feel like you represent our industry extremely well. And I mean, I kind of love that you're a badass mom too, because no, I mean, there's a lot of people on social media, but they like don't have kids yet, and it's just different. And so I think it's good to kind of show that we have to balance it and we have to figure it out and show the support that we have, and also share that side of things, because it's it's a huge hurdle that a lot of students are eventually going to come to, and I want them to feel like they can handle it, or they can reach out if they're struggling, right? Like if it is too much.
I remember that fear. I remember thinking, I can't have kids yet because I'm not far enough along in my career. And, I can't do that. I can't deter what's going to happen with my career because I have a kid. And I just remember trying to balance, like, when's the right time? Can I do it? Will it ruin my career? Will I, and I remember those fears very, very real. And,
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you that no, it won't ruin your career. It'll probably make you a better veterinarian. And if you want to have children or have a family, like, do not let this career take that from you, because that is not worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, yeah. And there's never a good time. Like
No,
you
never.
can, you can set things up perfectly and they're never a good time. And like one of the students, Vet Mama Mo, she's on here and she's a vet student and she has children. And I'm like, that to me is like, you are incredible. Incredible.
What an animal.
Like,
what an animal. I'm like, I could have done it. I told her,
no.
I could barely shower and get my life together in vet school. So she's amazing.
Yeah. I was just trying to like play dominoes, drink beer, and, pass class. Like that was it. She's like raising children. So I told her she's set. Like she has a resume. Just be like, I was a mom in vet school, and people would be like, you're hired, because that is that. Like
you can do anything.
That's what you do. Yeah. Okay, so if people are wanting to go into the cattle industry, like what should they work on as students or like as young grads? Like you said, communication's a big thing. Is there any way they can grow that skill other than just hands-on and shadowing and things like that? Or is there anything else that they should be looking into, learning about, really training on?
Yeah, so two parts to that question. One, I would say it doesn't have to be vet experience, just go get experience on a farm. Whether you learn how to milk cows, or you learn how to feed calves, or you learn how to work cattle, or all of those things, that base knowledge is what you really need to be successful as a food animal veterinarian, in my opinion. So go get just that hands-on basic experience. And then communication obviously takes time to grow. And it's taken me 5-6 years to get where I'm at, and actually I hate public speaking, by the way. I don't like talking. it gives me the most anxiety, but I just keep doing it because it scares the crap out of me and I want to be good at it. Like, you know, I'm just like, I don't want to be crappy at this skill, you know, and so I just keep doing it. But so keep practicing. But the other thing that I thought was really helpful is I've done some personality tests. They're mostly like sales based. And so what they teach you is like kind of like what your personality is, what the other personalities are, and how to flex your personality to accommodate those different types of personalities. And so that's really helped me coming onto, you know, a farm and being like, okay, this guy, I got to give it to him straight. He wants it fast and he'll make a decision. This guy, I got to show him 5 years of data. We got to run some trials, and I got to call him 14 times because I know based on their personalities. And so that's been really helpful for me to be able to flex from my end.
That's a great tip, because I tell students, like, we're salespeople, and what we're trying to do is like have that relationship, get their trust. So when we sell them on like a diagnostic or a treatment plan, like they will actually buy that, right? They'll buy what we're selling. And I don't think it's a bad thing to think about yourself as a salesperson. One of my favorite books is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it's just, it's very specific things about personality traits people have and what you can do to kind of gain trust to have that connection. And that book it was written forever and ever ago, and it's still very valid today. So I agree with you. When I transitioned from equine to small animal, everyone's like, how did you do that? And I'm like, you can learn medicine, you can learn surgery skills, like you can learn all those things. Communication is the thing that's, I think, hardest in this career, and handling tough clients. And once you're out in veterinary medicine, you learn those things. So I could do that in equine. It wasn't hard to transition that to small animal medicine. I maybe had to be a little more like, oh, Fufu's so cute. But other than that, it wasn't that bad. So I would agree. Let me make sure I answered. There was another question. Internships. Someone sent us a joke. They said, what do you call a fake noodle? An impasta.
I love a good pun. You know I love a good pun.
I do. I love a good dad joke.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very late, and I feel bad that we've kept you up this late, and I appreciate you coming on with me. Tell us again, like, how to find you. Ooh, talk about your merchandise, because I love all of it.
Oh, thank you. I'm at CalfVet _ on Instagram, because there's another CalfVet that has an inactive count that I can't get them to give it to me. And then I'm at
I wondered about that.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm like, come on, man, you don't have any pictures, you don't follow anybody, like get off this
Get
platform.
off
Anyway. So at CalfVet _ on Instagram, and then at CalfVet on Facebook. And so that has been the other really cool thing about social media, is having this like creative outlet to make fun stuff. That's just mind blowing, that I just can't believe someone wants to buy my stuff, which is still like, but if you're interested in looking at that, it's at farmfocus.com. So, and
she has amazing like apparel, and then there's also really fun kitchen stuff and signs. I mean, it's just like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Did you see someone asked why the picture of the cow behind you was not a British white? Like, they're like,
because that was a veal calf that we took a picture of in our barn, so that's kind of been my I use it for all my talks, and I had it blown up for my office. But you're right, I need a British white as well.
Yeah, like there was 2 comments about that, and I was like, that's valid. That's valid.
Have you seen my cool? Hold on. Can you see my cool?
Yes, your wallpaper. Yes,
it's my favorite thing. It was like, I had insomnia one time at like 3 a.m, and I bought cow wallpaper off the internet, and it was the best decision ever.
It's your favorite thing. Well, we're building a house, and I want to put horse like bit wallpaper in my daughter's bathroom, but I haven't been able to find one I like yet. So if anyone has a good horse bit wallpaper, send that to me.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I was going to tell you, you're very smart to love horses, but go into a different field, because I thought I'll go into equine and then I can like hang out with horses because I love them, but then I never got to ride because I worked so much. And you still pre-pandemic got to ride and go to shows and do stuff. So
Yeah, in and out. I'm off right now, obviously, because I'm pregnant. But then, like, just life right now is a little bit crazy, and so, yeah, I've been in and out. But I have rode since graduating from vet school, which has been nice.
Oh, I had one more question. Sorry. I just, so many things since I have you. You bought a golf course.
Yeah.
I mean, that I'm sure that wasn't part of the 10-year plan initially. So you bought the golf course. It's like adjacent to y'all's land, and you were going to do something with the clubhouse. Have you told everybody what you're doing with the clubhouse? Did I miss that, or have you not
No,
revealed it yet?
it's still kind of up in the air. So yeah.
Okay.
So this golf course has always been by our farm, right? We kind of farm on like 3 sides of it. It was sold 3 years ago, and it's totally set empty, dormant. It's totally ruined. It's not going to be a golf course again. So yeah, so we bought it late last year, and we're like, cool, we're going to pasture our cows on it. But there's also this clubhouse. I've always kind of had a dream of like having like our meat store out of there where we sell like our beef, and then having like ice cream and coffee, and just like kind of a place where you can go sit outside and watch the cows, and
Yeah.
And so that's been kind of the idea. We're working on a remodel right now that we kind of need to gut the whole thing and remodel it. So we're waiting on some quotes like that for that, and then just me being pregnant, I'm kind of pushing everything back like 6 months. But again, there's also, I kind of have this other idea in my head that I haven't told anybody, that I kind of want to do a little like agritourism with it, and like an education center. And so I don't know yet. Give me a year. I'll tell you guys what happens with the clubhouse.
Yeah. I saw the wallpaper fiasco when you were like taking all the wallpaper down, and I was dying. I was laughing so hard. But well, I very much appreciate you coming on here and sharing your journey, and just in general sharing everything you do and social media. And I want to go on a double date with you and Trav. I just have to tell you that, because I feel like our husbands would have a good time, and then we would have a good time. So it would be like, we were just fun.
I've never been to Texas. I've never been to Texas, and I think the reason is because if I go, I'm gonna want to stay forever. So
yes, you will love it.
I need to bucket list that for us. We'll come to you.
Yeah, my house will be built in August, and we will have plenty of guest room space, and then the kids could just run amok all on the property, and it would be so fun. So I am all about that life. But I very much appreciate you. If you guys want to reach out to her, she will answer any questions. She loves to speak and talk about her journey and share with vet students, just like I do. And so if you guys need anything, make sure you reach out. It is late. I am 40 today. I am very old.
Hey,
I know. It's my birthday.
I'm such a crappy person. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But I'm going to go have one more glass of wine and then hit the hay. So you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you later. Marissa, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.